Love your haters? What in the world does that mean? Well, let's talk about that today. So, last time we spoke, I told you all about the $4 million sales letter that I wrote, brought in $4 million in just 30 days with $1 million profit for my client. And so, there are many things that we learned from writing a 2-page direct mail sales letter. And one of them was love your haters. And what do I mean by that? So, loving your haters means don't be afraid when people respond in a way that isn't ideal, isn't what you had in mind, isn't saying, oh my gosh, I just love everything about you and your messaging. And so, with that 2-page sales letter, we sent them out all over the world, and it was paper in the mail. And one of the things they needed to do was fill in the amount they wanted for the property. I mentioned this an earlier broadcast that this was for picking up empty property that people wanted to invest in because they were going to build homes on it in Lehigh Acres, Florida. And this was some time back. And so at that point, it had been vacation property that people had made small down payments for and little monthly payments that someday they were going to go live in the shadow of the mouse with their vacation home or retirement home, and then never did anything with it. So at that time period, developers wanted to scoop up the land and start building homes on it. It was very valuable for that at that time. And so my client went up against the boiler room of people calling, trying to buy the property. My kind of David and Goliath moment was a 2-page sales letter that went out all over the world, and people filled out the contract and sent it back in with the amount of money that they wanted for their property. And they would sign over the contract and he would purchase the property from them, and that would be that. Well, along with that, we had a tremendous response. We had something like 10% response to cold traffic worldwide. And part of the response, though, wasn't always positive. And he got in touch with me like, Tina, some people are writing back not so nice notes saying, should I be worried about this? I was like, no, don't be worried about that, because it's called direct response marketing for a reason. That's because we want people to respond. And that doesn't mean they're always going to respond exactly how we would prefer. But still, if it instigates a response, if it gets someone to do something, this can actually be a doorway for your business when you look at it the right way. But we were getting messages back. He FedEx some of them to me, made copies, and sent me a FedEx packet with the good and the bad and then the ugly as far as the comments. And some people were like, yeah, sure, you're full of whatever, this kind of stuff. They weren't really, really terribly awful, but they weren't like, yeah, we just think that we believe who you are and we want to do this. So what I explained to my client at the time was that even responses like that, so it's a strong word to call them haters, but it can just be not your best fans, right? Even those kinds of responses can teach you something. They can show you areas that need to be improved in your business, and they open the door to further communication with that individual if you so choose. And so in this case, he actually did respond. I encouraged him, answer the people that are skeptical, answer the ones that they're interested enough to actually write and put this in the mail and send it to you, and they're indicating by their action that there's some kind of interest, but they're just not quite sure yet. And so he followed up, and I suggested that he actually have phone calls at that time with some of those individuals. And so he did, and we actually ended up seeing him close a few more deals of contracts when he had personal contact with the individual. So that was one thing. It opened up that opportunity to follow up. So how does this apply to you in your business now? Well, especially in the online world, because this was a direct mail. It literally went in the mail. That it's so easy for people to leave comments on your posts or about your product, or you might be doing a Facebook Live, or you might, whatever you might be doing. It's really easy for people to leave comments. And our first reaction, and sometimes the appropriate action, is a good old ban, block, delete, right? Like make them disappear if they're really kind of foul and just there really is no point in continuing the conversation. But if it's just skepticism or even criticism, it can open up an opportunity for you to respond in a professional way, calmly, and make your case or explain something further or share your thoughts on something, and at least have an intelligent conversation back and forth. And if that seems appropriate. Now, sometimes they just need to be gone. If they're really, the ones that come out from under the bridge at 2:00 in the morning, the little trolls, they're leaving nasty comments. Seems like that's always the 2 a.m. timestamp on their post, right? And so that's one thing. But the other thing is, it could be in your business. Perhaps you're getting comments from someone that there's sort of the offstage people that are commenting quietly in the background, or maybe they're writing to your customer service desk. And then there's the onstage, under the spotlight people that might be posting something on your content itself. And so you always have that decision to make. And yes, it does take effort, and it may even take a certain amount of investment if you have to hire some help to kind of monitor the comments and that type of thing. I think that when you're running ads, for example, if you're just getting really nasty comments on them, the best bet, in my opinion, is simply to delete and ban and block them. And it's very interesting because sometimes when you look at their pages, you see there can be two different sides of, wow, they seem like somebody completely different on their Facebook page, or, oh yeah, well, no surprise here about why they're making these kinds of comments, right? But the fact of the matter is that in your business, you should have customer service that's because, you know, if you don't answer someone when they have an issue, if they're writing with something that they're disappointed in, or they need help with, or they're feeling upset about, if not answering them is still an answer. And when you don't answer them, the answer is, we don't really care, right? And that's not what you want to do in your business. You do want to follow through and take responsibility when you need to take responsibility, explain what you need to explain, make it right, however you might need to make it right, these kinds of things. And again, it opens the door to continuing communication and building relationship. The other thing to consider with this is Dan Kennedy was known to say something along the lines of, if you haven't offended at least one person by noon every day, you're not marketing hard enough. And so what did he mean by that? And he has kind of a crusty nature, you know, as far as how he comes across. But what he means by that is that you should take a strong enough stand in your business and what you have and what you believe in, that you're not worrying about the people that it might offend, because not everybody's going to love you. Not everybody's going to like your product. Not everyone's going to enjoy your message. Not everyone's going to feel aligned or resonate with your views or your opinions. And and that runs the gamut from, you know, just about anything. There's going to be someone that's like on the opposite side of that spectrum, and you're not going to convince them or change their mind. And we don't want to, because we have what I refer to as the narrow end of the funnel. I talk about an upside down funnel of, you want to attract the people who resonate with your message, the people who are already interested in what you have. And you literally want to repel the ones that don't resonate with you, aren't aligned with your messaging, aren't going to be happy with anything from the tone of your voice or the tone of your messaging, right? So for example, in my messaging, I teach that that divine source can be your ultimate business partner. I will speak about having that personal communication with your divine source, with God. And I've had people take exception to that. No, you can't have that kind of communication. You cannot have that. That's not all right. And that's really okay with me that they feel that way, because that means they wouldn't be comfortable in my programs where I speak about these things and where I teach this as part of the way that you go to a deeper level in your business. And so if you're for everybody, you're for nobody. If you're just plain bland vanilla, you know, you really are just kind of out there in a sea of sameness with your competitors. You're not going to stand out. You're not going to stand for anything. You're not going to attract the kinds of clients you want to work with. And you should really desire to work with the people that you're going to enjoy working with. And that means a complete clarity on your message, transparency about your values and what your model is for how you work and what you teach or what you have or how you serve your clients, right? And so it's actually kind of to be celebrated when you see that there is that polarity. There is, hey, I have purple hair. There's some people that take exception with that, right? I have messaging about, as I said, about spiritual aspects of marketing and copywriting. I talk about the brain science of success. I talk about getting paid in advance. Some people take exception to that. I've had people be upset because, why are you teaching copywriting if you're such a great copywriter? You know, why aren't you just doing it? You know, that type of thing. And the thing is, when you get messages like that, it's just a clear signal. They're just letting you know, I'm not your client. I'm not your potential customer. I'm not your target audience. And it helps you define even further the ones that are. And that say, I just love everything about how you communicate this. I love everything about this program. And I've got plenty of those. And so it's really nothing to be concerned about, but it is something to learn from and to embrace and to not run away from or be afraid of. Because if you're afraid to totally step up and be who you are, represent what you have, if you don't have enough certainty and confidence about what your message is, you're going to be ignored. You know, there's an ad for air freshener that talks about being nose blind, right? And so it's kind of like that you're just going to blend into the background. No one's going to notice. No one's going to see you. No one's going to hear you. And you're going to end up with a very lackluster business, if any business at all, because you don't have the certainty in your messaging to step up and say, I'm not for everybody. And I personally say, embrace that and say that I am not for everyone. You literally can put it in your marketing. This is who this is for. If this is this or that or this, then you're going to find great value here. You're going to enjoy this program. On the other hand, if you're this, or this, probably not for you. Best for you to move on. There's someone else out there for you that can serve you much better than I can. And so, for example, if you think you're going to get rich overnight simply by buying my program, don't bother, right? Because it takes work and effort and commitment to actually stepping up and doing the things you need to do to become the person who can do the things so you have the results that you desire. And so I'm very clear about that. So this is why you should embrace your haters, love your haters, love on them, because you never know also when you have clear response and you truly care, as far as caring that you're clear in your messaging, caring that you've answered their question, then you may find sometimes these people turn into loyal fans. They may become your best clients. They may become complete converts to what you have because you took the time to pay attention and hear and see what their concerns were. And of course, there's always that line, like I said, between the ones that are, okay, a little off the deep end here, really no point in having a conversation. You can feel the difference. I think you know what I'm talking about with that. So this is just one of the many lessons that came out of this $4 million letter, only 2 pages long, $4 million, 2 days, 2 pages, 30 days. That was basically what happened with that letter. And including just ways that people communicate with you, what resonated with them, how the whole structure was set up. I'm going to be talking a lot more about that next time as we continue to unearth the valuable secrets learned from the $4 million sales letter. Hope this was helpful to you. Don't forget to subscribe and share and comment, all the good things. If you'd like to hear from more videos from me, you can check out the ones on this page. There's a lot more for you here. And until next time, this is Tina Lorenz. Thanks for being with me today, and I hope this was helpful for you.